Welcome to Talking Yoga. We're joined today by Kino MacGregor. Kino, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And I would like to start by asking you very simply, why do you practice yoga?
I practice yoga because it's my answer to how to live a more peaceful life, because it makes me a more peaceful person and it changes everything around me. On the days that I don't practice, I can feel the difference in my nervous system. I can feel the difference in my state of mind. So I practice yoga so that I can be a better person in the world, so that I can live a more peaceful life.
What brought you to yoga in the first place?
Well, it's the same thing. I can look back now and I can see that I was sort of going through periods of unhappiness in my life, and that when I was truly looking for a way out of unhappiness into a more peaceful and a more happy life is when I turned to the path of yoga. And after 15 years of practice in the Ashtanga method, I can say that I found that answer in this daily practice.
And what are you working on right now in your practice?
Well, I've just finished the Ashtanga Yoga Fourth Series, so I think I might spend the rest of my life figuring out exactly what that practice is about. It's really difficult, it's really grueling. It's a practice that has a logic unlike any of the other series in the Ashtanga method. It's brought me to the point of, emotional limitations, physical limitations, and pushed me to places that I didn't think were even possible for me to go. Now that I've completed it, I really feel like I'm letting that work integrate, and I want to just really understand what it means to do that practice every day. So that's kind of where I'm working in the physical practice.
Can you tell us who a few of your main teachers have been?
My main teacher, Sri Pattabhi Jois, and his grandson, Sharath Jois. And they have been my first teachers, they have been my main teachers since my first trip to India, my first trip to Mysore. And I've considered them my teachers now as well. Guruji is still my guide, even though he's not with us. I like to think of Guruji's light like the sun, and the sun, even though we may not see it when it sets, is always shining somewhere here on earth. So in this way, I think Guruji's light is always with us. We just might not be able to see it as clearly because of our vantage point, but his light is still, for me, the guiding essence of the practice. And I make time as much as possible to return to Mysore to continue my studies with Sharath. I'm deeply inspired by all of the senior teachers, but I really consider Guruji and Sharath my main teachers. I've learned all of the asanas that I practice from them, and I continue to go back to Mysore as much as possible.
So in terms of learning, what do you learn from your students?
I learn everything from the students. I mean, the students are amazing teachers. First of all, as a mirror for yourself, to see where you're inspired, what turns you on. I think as teachers, we are so interested in what was our biggest journey. So for me, strength was such a big journey. So every time I see someone who's naturally strong, I get so excited. I'm so happy for them. It's just something that's magical to me. In that same sense, I just love to see people who are talented in the practice. Of course, that's amazing to see, when you have someone who's just naturally gifted, whether really deep back bends or really strong handstands. It's just beautiful to see. But I think that the most amazing thing for me in the student's journey is that moment when they think they cannot do something, however small it might be, and then I encourage them to do that thing which they think they cannot do, and then they experience a different part of themselves. I'll give you an example about that. I was teaching in Asia, and there was this Japanese woman who was very flexible, and she was very hesitant to do the back bending. She just said, no, I cannot do. And also the language was a little bit of a barrier. I don't speak Japanese, and her English wasn't so good. Her English definitely better than my Japanese, though. So I was encouraging her to stand up from Urdhva Dhanurasana. She said, no, I can't, no. And really all she could say was no. And then she started to make some noises. So she said, no, which is it was very sweet and very Japanese, and I thought, no, she can definitely do this. Physically, everything is fine. Her legs are strong. She has a deep back bend. Her hands were this far away from her feet, it's very flexible. And so then I helped her up. I said, inhale, and then I moved her hips forward. And as she was moving up, her whole body started to shake, which was really interesting. And because I was so close to her, I could feel the shaking, and it was literally the embodiment of fear. you know, it was just there shaking, and she did not want to move past it. But because I was so close to her, and I really don't know where this came from. It's not like something I would ever instruct anyone to do or something that I learned, except that Guruji used to do exactly this after people did back bends, and I just never had that experience before. She was shaking, and she was sort of in my arms. So in that moment, I just hugged her. I squeezed her so tightly. So the shaking, actually, it just kind of stopped. And it felt like the whatever energy was stuck around here just got squeezed up. And I squeezed her so much so that she couldn't shake anymore. And I just felt this immense love for her in that moment, which is something I don't really know where that came from. But I'm a little bit of a tough teacher, because after she just went through all of that, I said, okay, now you're going to do it again. And so I made her do it again, and they were shaking again, and then I squeezed her again. And then I just saw in that moment that this is who she knew herself to be, this person who could not stand up from back bend. Who knows what other limitations she was carrying around. And in that moment that she was shaking, it felt like all of those limitations, they just dissolved. And then there was this new possibility, and there was no place to put that new possibility except in the infinite. And what is more infinite than love? And so that moment of transformation is something that inspires me the most. When the student meets their limitation, and then through the guidance of the teacher, they move through that and experience a limitless place inside of themselves. I think that's the single most transformative thing about this practice. And whenever I'm there to participate in a student's experience of that, that inspires me for many years to come.
What advice do you give to someone new to yoga, someone who's about to start the practice?
First thing, if you're about to start the practice, is don't rush. Don't think that you need to get there in any particular order, in any particular time frame. Just commit to the long journey. Just do your practice. Surrender into however long it takes. Don't doubt yourself. Believe in yourself. Whenever you think that you don't have the right body for yoga, take a moment and recognize that there are other people who have your same shape, and they're practicing yoga and they're figuring it out. Surrender to the long journey. Believe in yourself. Let yoga show you the way. Let your faith in yourself be built on the empirical evidence of your practice. Just do a little bit every day. Let it build naturally. Don't force. Don't rush.
That's great. And our last question is a little more serious question.
Okay.
Which is, can you tell us something naughty about yourself?
I don't know, maybe you'd ask my husband. No, I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel like I have that many vices left. I mean, I think my biggest vice is probably shopping. Like, I really like to shop. I like Bloomingdale's a lot. I like shopping. I like malls. I'm really American in that way. I think it's my, cultural responsibility to go shopping when I arrive in a new country. I feel like I need to shop. I'm American. I should shop. That's what's expected of me. I'm just kind of kidding, but I really do like to shop, and everything that kind of goes with that. Like, I like to get my nails done. I like to get my hair done. I like makeup. And I like fancy shoes and stuff like that. So that's probably a world outside of yoga that it's definitely different from the sweaty, grueling work of the yoga mat.
Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add? Is there anything you'd like to tell people?
The one thing that I think perhaps that is useful for people to understand is that yoga always keeps its promise. It might not be immediately evident to you right from the beginning, but that the promise that yoga makes to you, that you'll live a happier life, you'll live a more joyful life, yoga will keep that promise. And when you discover the tools to live a happier and more peaceful life, no one will ever take that away from you, because it will be your own true center. The power of yoga is the power of yourself, your highest, deepest, most grand and beautiful self. And once you start to reveal that in your life, all of that beauty is reflected back around you.
So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.